Hello everyone! This is Movie Battle on the TalkingHEAD channel. In this video, we are going to compare two cinematic giants across 5 key categories: story and pacing, acting and cast, atmosphere and cinematography, direction and sound, legacy and impact. But before we begin, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It really helps me grow and create more content for you. Today, we're pitting two visual masterpieces against each other: Blade Runner 2049 and The Batman. Blade Runner 2049 hit theaters in 2017, directed by the visionary Denis Villeneuve. With a massive budget of $150 million, it earned about $267 million at the global box office. Critics absolutely loved it, and even today, it holds a solid 8.0 on IMDb and an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. On the other side, we have The Batman, released in 2022 and directed by Matt Reeves. Produced on a $200 million budget, it was a massive hit, raking in over $772 million worldwide. It also sits high with an 8.1 on IMDb and an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. Blade Runner 2049 is a philosophical noir detective story at its core. The entire plot revolves around one existential question: what does it actually mean to be human? The pacing here is intentionally meditative. Villeneuve gives every shot room to breathe. While some mainstream audiences might find it a bit slow, that stillness is exactly what makes the immersion so deep. The Batman, however, is a gritty procedural thriller, heavily inspired by David Fincher's Seven. The plot is much more dynamic. It's packed with constant riddles, clues, and high-stakes action. Even though the runtime pushes 3 hours, it keeps you on your toes. In this round, The Batman takes a slight lead thanks to its gripping, detective, intrigue, and superior momentum. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10, while Blade Runner 2049 earns a 7 out of 10 for this category.
I know what's real.
In Blade Runner 2049, I wouldn't say there are any groundbreaking performances, but there aren't any bad ones either. It's a solid, consistent effort across the board. Ryan Gosling basically plays Ryan Gosling, which actually fits perfectly here. His stoic, stone-faced delivery is exactly what you'd expect from a hollow replicant whose emotions are buried deep inside. Harrison Ford, however, delivers one of his best dramatic scenes in years, and the rest of the supporting cast holds their own. It's a respectable 7 out of 10. Moving over to The Batman, Robert Pattinson gave us arguably the most depressed and obsessed Bruce Wayne we've ever seen. His chemistry with Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman adds a certain spark and tension that's completely missing from Blade Runner. And then there's Paul Dano, who essentially plays Paul Dano, delivering that signature performance that's always teetering on the edge of total insanity. For the raw energy and the character dynamics, I'm giving this one a 7.5 out of 10. In Blade Runner 2049, Roger Deakins' work is nothing short of a masterpiece. It's the absolute pinnacle of cinematography. We're talking perfect geometry, the haunting orange dust of Las Vegas, and those massive towering holograms. It's a clean neon aesthetic set against a sterile future. Visually, this might be one of the most stunning films ever put to paper. It's no surprise the movie took home the Oscars for Best Cinematography and Best Visual Effects. It's a flawless 10 out of 10. As for The Batman, Fraser clearly put in the work to create a gritty and visceral atmosphere. Gotham feels like a living nightmare. Constant rain, soot, and that aggressive red color palette. The city itself feels like it's crushing the hero. The color grading is spot on, perfectly capturing that noir detective vibe, while it earned an Oscar nomination for Best Visual Effects. I'm giving it a strong 8.5 out of 10. The direction in Blade Runner is nothing short of magnificent. Back then, Villeneuve was basically Nolan on a budget, at the absolute peak of his game, before he went on to drop Dune, which was another masterclass in filmmaking. We've got to admit, the guy has insane talent. There are very few directors in cinema history who can deliver a masterpiece with every single project. And let's talk about the sound. I mean, it's Hans Zimmer, baby. Enough said. Teaming up with Benjamin Wallfisch, they created a score that literally sends shivers down your spine. It's a solid 9 out of 10. Then we have The Batman. Matt Reeves took a completely different approach, focusing on a tight, claustrophobic atmosphere. His direction feels much more grounded and personal. And we have to talk about Michael Giacchino's score. That 4-note Batman theme is simple, but it's incredibly effective. It feels like a heartbeat, building tension until it's almost unbearable. The sound design of the Batmobile alone is enough to give you chills. And then, of course, there's Nirvana. I mean, you already know how hard that hits. A strong 8.5 out of 10. Blade Runner has become the gold standard for how to make a sequel to a cult classic decades later. This movie cemented Denis Villeneuve's status as the premier visionary of our time and one of the most promising directors in history. I'm convinced this film is already a cult classic. It's the kind of cinema that will be rewatched and analyzed for decades to can. I'm giving it a solid 8 out of 10. Then there's The Batman. It successfully rebooted the world's most iconic comic book hero, proving that superhero movies can be serious, mature art without the constant jokes or CGI fest for the sake of CGI. If Nolan's trilogy didn't exist, the impact of this film would have been massive, and my score would be much higher. But standing in those shadows, it gets a 6 out of 10. Let's wrap this up. Our cyberpunk masterpiece, Blade Runner 2049, finishes with 41 points, while The Batman trails slightly behind with 38.5. These are incredibly close contenders, both masterclasses in their own right, but as a complete piece of cinema, Blade Runner takes the crown. Just as expected. Now, if you disagree with me, hit the comments and let me know why. If you're on my side, drop a suggestion for the next 2 movies I should pit against each other, and we'll make it happen in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel.
Arrivederci.